Hey people, it's nice talking. Now, there are a lot of things I could and would like to have talked about, but I decided that this should take precedence, so I'm going to talk about this. This is from BBC News. Breonna Taylor, Louisville, to pay family $12 million over police shooting. Officials in Louisville, Kentucky have agreed to pay $12 million, £9.3 million to the family of Breonna Taylor, a black woman who was killed in her home by police. Taylor was 26 when she was shot at least 5 times and killed on 13th of March during a mistaken drugs raid. Her name has featured prominently in anti-racism protests in recent months. Lanita Baker, a lawyer for Taylor's family, called the settlement just one layer in the effort to seek justice and praised new police reforms. Justice for Breonna is multi-layered, said Ms. Baker at a press conference on Tuesday alongside Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher. She called the agreement tremendous, but only a portion of what the family hopes for, including the rest of the officers involved in her death. Today, what we did here was to do what we could to bring a little bit of police reform as just a start, continued the Ms. Baker. But we finished the first mile in the marathon, and we got a lot more miles to go until we achieve and cross that line, the finish line. The settlement includes a series of police reforms in the city, including a requirement that all search warrants be approved by a senior officer, and giving a housing credit to officers who move to low-income neighborhoods they patrol in the city. In a short statement, Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, called for criminal charges against the officer and asked for people to continue to say her daughter's name publicly in advocacy for police reforms. The settlement is the largest financial sum paid in a misconduct case in the city's history, according to the Louisville Courier-Journal. Taylor's killing was propelled into the spotlight once again with the death of George Floyd, an African-American man who died after a police officer knelt on his neck for almost 10 minutes during an arrest in Minneapolis, Minnesota in May. They tried to play it down by saying 4 minutes. No, it was almost 10. Floyd's death sparked global anti-racism protests and brought renewed focus on police brutality. What happened to Breonna Taylor? Shortly after midnight on 13th of March, 3 officers entered Taylor's apartment by executing a no-knock search warrant, a court document that authorized police to enter her home without warning. Taylor and her partner, Kenneth Walker, were reportedly asleep as the commotion began. The officers exchanged fire with Mr. Walker, a licensed gun owner who called 911 in the belief that the drug raid was a burglary. The officers, who fired more than 25 bullets, said they returned fire after one officer was shot and wounded. During exchange, Taylor, an emergency medical technician, was shot 8 times and later died. No drugs were found on the property. The lawsuit filed by Taylor's family accuses the officers of battery, wrongful death, excessive force, and gross negligence. It also says the officers were not looking for her or a partner, but for an unrelated suspect who did not live in the complex. Her family has also accused police of leading the raid as a plot to gentrify her neighborhood. The city's mayor dismissed the allegations as outrageous and our foundation to support or supporting facts. One of the officers involved in the raid, Brett Hankinson, was fired in June. The other 2, Jonathan Mattingly and Miles Cosgrove, were placed on administrative leave. The city's police chief was also fired in June after a separate police shooting. The grand jury could soon decide whether criminal charges should be filed against any of the officers. Until Freedom, a social justice organization that has held rallies for Taylor, released a statement saying no amount of money will bring back Breonna Taylor. True justice is not served, cash settlements, the group added. We need those involved in her murder to be arrested and charged. We need accountability. We need justice. Earlier this year, Louisville City Council voted unanimously in favor of banning no-knock warrants. Similar legislation that would ban the warrants nationwide was introduced in the U.S. Congress. Alright, there's a lot to talk about. First off, this settlement is blood money. It's basically trying to get the family and everyone else to shut up and say, look, we paid out some money, go away. And frankly, that's not justice. It wouldn't matter if it's 120 million. That's not good enough. Because the officers who killed her, at best, were fired. And that doesn't mean anything, because we've seen time and time again, cops can get fired and get rehired, sometimes within a day. They'll just go to the next county or the next municipality and be rehired. And when we say punishment, it shouldn't be like the guy who killed, was it Laquan McDonald in Chicago, where he got 7 years and he may be out and free. We're talking something like 30 years, no parole, no time served. And all this other stuff, this fluff they keep saying, well, we've banned no-knock warrants. That does not mean anything. I mean, in New York City, chokeholds were banned when they killed Eric Garner with them. That, what was it, the Pantoliano? He never got punished. At most, it took 5 years to get him fired. A lot of the things that these cops do is already illegal. They don't punish them. I mean, they say they'll ban no-knock warrants. Well, what if they just start raiding houses without warrants? Are they going to punish them if they do that? Well, we killed a few people doing this unannounced warrant. You did a good job. No charges. And, Congress passed the no lynching law. What do they do to to get around that, they just say, oh, it's a suicide. It's a suicide. He hung himself. He beat himself up, dragged himself into the woods, and hung himself. And that's so they can have this no lynching law as a whole bunch of fluff or dressing, and then still not do anything to bring these race soldiers and what do you call it? Race soldier wannabes like not the guy who killed Trayvon Martin, Zimmerman to justice. But anyway, like I said, this is blood money, and we should continue to demand that the killers be brought to justice. Please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.